Hello and welcome to the Customs House Museum podcast. I'm your host Shay, and today I would like to take some time to talk a little bit about the history of the museum's Lucy Dunwoody Beam Porcelain Collection. And it's one of our permanent exhibits that's now back on display after the renovations of the 1898 Customs House building. The series of the Beam Porcelain sculptures was created and founded by Edward and Helen Beam in 1950. They began creating their sculptures in a humble basement studio in Trenton, New Jersey. And Trenton, New Jersey is where they have their current studio, just on a much larger scale. Edward Beam never actually had any formal training as an artist. In college, he majored in farm management and animal husbandry. But that didn't stop him from pursuing his passion of sculpting, and his love for animals and nature carried over to become the main subject matter of his work. One of the things that makes the Beam series of sculpture so special is that Edward Beam created his own special mixture of porcelain that allowed him, and later his artisans, to create sculptures with amazing detail and delicacy. With dedication, determination, and a natural eye for beauty, the untraditional artist Edward Beam became an internationally known master sculptor and a continuous source of inspiration for other artisans. The process for creating a beam sculpture includes many intricate steps that must be handled with the utmost care. First, using an artist sketch, a model of the sculpture is created in modeling clay. Every detail down to the last tiny leaf is included. The model is then dissected into component parts to create a separate mold for each of the little tiny pieces of the sculpture. The sculptor then constructs a duplicate plaster of Paris model from which he makes a master, case, and replica mold. Next, liquid clay is mixed, then poured into the molds for casting. The cast pieces are removed from their molds while still slightly soft and wet in order to fit all of the pieces together before they dry completely. The joining must be done quickly and carefully, but with an intense attention to detail. The unfired clay, also known as greenware, is then supported and fired into white bisque porcelain. The firing is done at approximately 2400 degrees Fahrenheit for 13 hours. The sculptures remain in the kiln for 2 days so that they can cool. After cooling, the sculpture is examined for any defects and is thoroughly sanded to provide an absolutely smooth, blemish-free surface. Artisans then paint the bisque piece with refirings in the kiln between each application of color. Once painting is complete, the piece is refired a final time. The last step is the final inspection and addition of any finishing parts, which sometimes include metal stems, flowers, and stamens. And we also have a brochure here at the museum about the Beam collection, which contains all of these steps if you would like a copy for yourself. Sadly, Edward Beam passed away in 1969, but the Beam porcelains continued to be made under the watchful eye of his widow Helen Beam. To this day, the Beam porcelains continue to grow in popularity, and are featured in over 130 museums and other institutions around the world. Beam porcelain sculptures have also been given as distinguished gifts to some of the world's most renowned individuals. Some of these individuals include Pope Pius VI, Pope John Paul II, Prince Philip of Canada, Britain's royal family, and every American president since Eisenhower. The Customs House Museum happens to have one of the largest collections of Beam porcelain sculptures in the Southeast, with over 100 pieces in our permanent collection. The museum also provides the opportunity for our patrons to dedicate a Beam porcelain sculpture of their choosing to, or in memory of, a special friend or loved one. For more information on the museum's collection of Beam sculptures, or to learn about how you can give your own special dedication gift to someone you care for, just send an email to info@customshousemuseum.org. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Customs House Museum podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you will join us again on May 21st for episode 16. Until then, take care and have a wonderful week.